Hello. I am it is 11:32 and it's a little bit late tonight, but give me a second here so I can go back to my feed and check out what's going on here. I can go back to my feed. All right, so what I'm going to be talking about is just to discuss some of the things that I do to sort of keep my drawing skills fresh and a little bit interesting, because as you know, a lot of the times I do a lot of sketching that's really automotive related, and sometimes for me I get bored. I I don't like drawing cars all the time. I like to switch it up and do many different things. And if you get into the habit of even drawing in general, if you get into the habit of exercising the very act of illustrating, what it really does for you is it's not really about drawing the subject, but it's really enabling you to have a certain amount or develop a certain amount of critical thinking. Drawing and illustrating, it takes a lot of brain power. It's funny because I know a lot of engineers who look at drawing, because they're so mathematically based, and they have a love for science and a love for solving physics problems and things. And I've always kind of run into the fact that a lot of people, they wish that they could be a little bit more creative and they wish they could draw. And then you have the opposite spectrum that don't have any appreciation for it and think all it is just pretty pictures. But what it really does is that if you really look back in time from some of the greatest designers and the artists back then, especially when you think of Leonardo da Vinci, these people were geniuses, right? Because not only were they mathematicians, but they were also geniuses from an artistic standpoint. They were masters in their craft, and I think that's something that's really amazing. You look at all the inventions that Leonardo da Vinci had in his head and how he would materialize all that stuff on paper. It's really such an incredibly remarkable thing. Some of the sketches that he produced then with planes and all these machines, it's just really quite amazing. Quite amazing. So anyway, skipping all that stuff, what do I typically do? I draw with my kids a lot, and sometimes I do things with them. I draw animals, I draw alligators, I do all sorts of crazy stuff. What we're going to do today is that I take objects, anything that I can find. If I have been drawing cars for a long time, I like to take just objects that I know about, and I like to just explore. So let's just take this video camera here. It's when you look at the shape of it, it's pretty. There's not really much form to it. You've got basically a cylindrical shape, and then you've got a rectangular shape, and all you're trying to do is marry those things two together. So when you start to draw things, I've got right now just a arch stick here with me, and I'm just gonna, before I get into this, I'm just going to loosen up because I haven't done any drawing today, by the way, none whatsoever. So when I loosen up, I just draw lines, straight lines, because I know that when I start my drawing or start my sketch, I want to make sure that my lines are straight. And I keep this as an exercise. And it's such an important exercise because, at least for me, even though I've been doing this for so long, this is almost like meditation for me. And I think that's how you have to, that's what you got to think of drawing in general, is that it is an exercise. When it comes down to it, you're exercising your mind, you're exercising your brain, and you are trying to learn how to control your muscle movements and your arms, and how to extend your arm and get that consistency. So this is what I typically do. I just, simple stuff like this is really crucial to executing in the end. Everything is so computer based right now. I always, and by the way, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I've been working on as far as digital paintings and drawings and things too, because I do both. But after a while, after I've done the digital, I get incredibly bored of just using the computer all the time, because it's like a relationship. I have to work with the materials. I have to feel the friction of the materials. You feel so much more connected that way. We got a few people watching. If you guys have questions, tell me, just put in the chat box. Tell me what you like. Tell me what kind of subjects you like to draw. So as you see, I'm just drawing these vertical and horizontal lines. All right, I'm going to flip this sucker over. And I'm going to take my trusty prop here. And I'm just going to start to play with the shape. I don't know how well it's going to come out, but I'm just setting up, again, very important, just setting up your lines. And as I draw, by the way, I'm constantly gauging, are these diverging? Because you don't want them to diverge when you're doing things in perspective. I should really plan some of these hangouts better. All right. So this might, I don't know if I got this quite right here. So I'm going to draw my lips. So I'm just dissecting my face of the square here, so I can set up where my minor axis is going to be. I put these dots, they're like my own little markers as I start to work on doing my ellipses, so I know what I got to hit. So see, got my first ellipse there. And I'm going to take this sucker back. Well, let me just put in my lines here. Drop that down. Make sure that these are sort of aligned here. This. There we go. And then I'm going to draw my ellipse here too. Oh, I'm going to take this back. Take this back. And I'll finish up with my other cylinder, my other ellipse on the other side. All right, so we got our cylinder. Pretty cool. A wolf. You like to draw wolves. Hey, I like that. Mr. Singh likes to draw wolves, which is great. And I like drawing animals too, by the way. In fact, I am getting ready. Excuse me. Some of the videos I'm going to be posting is going to be drawing a lot of animals and how that ties into creating and designing in general. All right, so I've got this. Here's my basic shape, right? So all I'm doing, like I said, this is purely an exercise. There isn't anything in this that I'm trying to replicate and make this thing look exactly like the camera or anything. All I'm trying to do is just show you the process with which I start to look at reference so that I can continue to keep my skills fresh. That means drawing things that I see and things that I know. And again, if you are fresh, I'm using an art stick. So Siddharth says I draw ellipses very fast, but end up messing it up always. Well, you know what? It's okay. I mean, it's really practice. So you have to keep drawing it. If I showed you the ellipses that I had created when I first started drawing, they were really bad. They were horrible, actually. And I used to get really frustrated because most people, they want to be good, but you have to understand that drawing is no different from what you learn in school. If you're doing mathematics, if you're doing calculus, if you're doing physics, or if you're learning physics, yeah, what is the thing that you're taught in school? There's a reason that when you're going to school that you end up doing several problems. And you do several problems is because it exposes you to all the different scenarios to be able to apply that knowledge, right? So it's no different for anything else. Now, all this, when you start looking at this, there's also, you have to kind of think of, well, how good do I really want to get? For me, I don't ever want to be so good at physics or anything like that, because that's not my goal. That's not my aim in life. My aim right now is to be a creative thinker and to figure out a way to make myself better by thinking creatively and drawing and thinking outside the box. That's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy doing. So you have to be mindful of what is the end result. So you don't have to be a professional per se, and I think that's something you have to sort of think about later as to what is your actual goal. Because some people, when you're just drawing, you don't really have to be a professional. There is a lot of value in drawing as a hobby just because of what it does for your mindset. An incredible amount of, it's like therapy for me. Anytime I'm down or I'm very stressed out, especially if I'm stressed out at work or something, what do? I come back and I do this. Yeah, that's right. So I am drawing the camcorder in front of me. Yes. So you weren't here at the beginning, but what we're talking about is when you're keeping your drawing skills fresh, the main objective is to start just drawing found objects, just taking whatever you've got. I'm not drawing this very accurately. I mean, I'm not sitting here and trying to get all the thicknesses and all these little shapes. But the gist of what we're trying to do here is to just take this as an exercise. That's it. It's an exercise. I just enjoy going through this process. I can't tell you how much of a value this is for me. We got 8 people online. So this is, I've got another 15 minutes here before I stop the feed. You know what? I've been sitting lopsided here on my chair, and I don't know how. This doesn't seem to look very right. It's all right. So I'm going to make this into like a lens. And I'm just going to add some value here. My art stick is just so thick. I'm going to get a lot of details in here. But I encourage all of you to do this, is just to take objects and understand those objects. Because I'm only here to do something very quickly, and give you that quick demo. That I'm not going to get into a terrible amount of detail here. We'll save that for some of my other videos here. So and then I'll just put in a little section here. It's like a little cut line there. Okay, and I don't know, I'll just put a little shape here, just to add something to it, so it's not too bland. But as I'm doing it, I'm putting everything. I look at all the stuff and put everything in perspective here. Got a lot of people from India, or Indians that are in the United States. Don't know. You like racing anime? This is Aditya. Hello, Aditya. Racing manga. I like to learn from you, sensei. Oh, thank you. I'm glad I'm like sensei to you. What else do you guys like? Tell me. What other kinds of things do you like to draw? All right, so there's my camcorder here. I'm not gonna continue on too much because I want to show you some of the other things that I've been working on. So anyway, this is what's valuable about on how to keep your skills fresh in drawing, is just to take objects that you see and just start to use them, and don't have to use expensive paper. This is like throwaway paper. This is newsprint paper, which I love. I love newsprint paper. So I'm going to keep this off to the side. And other things that I do, of course, cars. I do this all the time. This is a friend of mine, his Corvette. And here's another thing. When we talk about animals, somebody had mentioned they like wolves or like to draw wolves, unless I misunderstood that. But I'll do things like this. This is a frog and a praying mantis, and I'll do these things with my children. And I want to put some things in perspective for you guys, because it is very important to know that you can do all of this. This is not something that is impossible for you to learn and to do. And the reason I'm saying that is, look at that, okay? And then look at what my 6-year-old son did. So I've gotten my children into drawing a lot, okay? Because I want them to understand the value of drawing early. So essentially, my son just drew drew this frog as I was drawing the one on top. And he was asking me questions, and what I would tell him is that first identify the entire shape, or just break the frog down into very basic fundamental shapes to start off, because if you go through too much detail, then it gets really hard to comprehend all that detail at once. I gotta say, he's, everything he was doing, just looking at the legs, looking at the basic shape of the legs and breaking them up into simpler shapes, and starting to dissect the entire image. It's really remarkable, and this is really hard to do. And I think as children, they have a lot more patience, and they probably don't have as much on their mind as we do. But the ability for him to even get the scaling pretty correct, I think it's pretty sweet. I mean, don't you think? I want to know your opinion. Tell me. I mean, for a 6-year-old to do that, if a 6-year-old can do this, you have to believe that you can do this too. You can do this too, right? So that's something to keep in perspective. So there's that one. So what else do I like to do? Okay, so I've got some older drawings here where I'm just drawing things. Basil Gogos, one of my most favorite artists, or at least movie poster artists, who did a lot of the older 40s or 50s movie posters. So even then, you're absorbing. You're trying to absorb information and understand things too. Understand what else you can draw. How do you look at other people's techniques and just understand it? It's not even that you're trying to copy per se. And I really believe that there's nothing wrong with people who like to copy. You have to start somewhere, and that's what you do when you're observing the world around you and you're drawing things outside. You're training your mind or your brain to see the world around you and understand it and replicate it. So nothing wrong with that. And then, I went out to, another thing that I do is just, I'm getting into landscapes here. This was a quick sketch. This was out in Ludington Beach, or Ludington, Michigan. Beautiful area. Lighthouse. It's awesome. Awesome place. So what did I do there? I took a bunch of pictures. I took pictures of the sunset. Whoops. Hold on a second. My computer is trying to restart, and that would be horrible as I'm explaining something. So I was in Ludington, and I used, again, this. I was just framing the lighthouse, and I just started to just look at all the different shapes and the scaling and all that other stuff, and try to do something here. Keep it sideways. All right, Michigan. I love it. Yeah. We got a fellow Michigander here. So sweetness, man. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I'm only going to be around for 4 more minutes. It's horrible to tell you. 4 more minutes. So I've done a terrible job of telling people that I'm doing this, because I just, spur of the moment, I just did it. All right, so there's that lighthouse. Remember, this is all about keeping your drawing skills fresh. All right. And then I got a YouTube video, by the way. If you haven't seen the last video, I did this. This is after 4th of July, and I never finished it, by the way. I was supposed to get the big 3 the vehicles. So we had the Corvette, they had a Jeep, and darn it, man, I wanted to get the Mustang in there, but I didn't have the time. when you have kids and you get all that stuff that's going on, you just struggle to get whatever you can and get something done. And as I was drawing this stuff, my 6-year-old was like saying, "Enough, Dad, enough of cars and drawing. Come out and play." so that gets you got to listen to the real bosses, right? The real bosses. So anyway, this was a lot of fun, right? It's I'm not a pro at drawing people and figures, but I will definitely say that when you know your fundamentals very well and your perspective, that you're much more in tune with how you need to execute a lot of the other things. And I'm learning. These are the things I'm learning and I'm enjoying on my own. So that's really important. It's expanding your skill sets. All right, so there's that. Another one that I'd like to show you, and this is digital. We got a few more minutes, and hopefully this thing just doesn't end. But if it does, sorry. But I did this sketch on free software, which is Krita, which is fantastic. This is a Porsche 911T. It's a 68, I think. But it took me about 3 hours to do, start to finish. I had originally done a freehand sketch, and then I went back onto Krita, sketched it out freehand again on my Fujitsu tablet, which is pretty cool. And again, an exercise. I just enjoy doing it. And the other thing is, here's another one. I don't know if anyone likes Batman and stuff, but again, same thing. Just exploring and drawing as many different things that I can think of. Just keeping it real, keeping it fresh, and keeping it interesting for me. Because drawing the same thing all the time doesn't help you to grow. I mean, especially if you've reached, I won't say a plateau, because you can still be in the particular niche like I am in drawing and illustrating cars. But it is always good to explore other mediums, other subjects, and start to learn the process of creating in general, because that's what's going to feed your mind. Yeah, why so serious? Madness is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. I love that damn movie, man. It's so awesome. Heath Ledger, man. God bless him. Poor guy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. This is pretty much it as a wrap. If you have questions, by the way, and you would like me to do something, at least to draw something that you are interested in, or things that you're curious about, comment below. Watch this video again and tell me what some of your other interests are. And head on over to my website, by the way, Driven to Draw. I've got a really sweet guide that you can download if you haven't downloaded it already, but it's a free guide. It's it gives you some nice quick techniques on execution of different drawing techniques and different types of styles that you need to be aware of if you want to be getting into drawing. I'm more of like to teach people how to do things professionally, but to be honest, you can do whatever you want. You do not have to be a pro. You don't have to be a pro. Oh, keep it sideways. Yeah, man, I do. I agree. I have to stream more. I don't disagree with you at all. I want to, but you know what? If I can get my crap together and my schedule together and be a little bit more organized, then I'll try to do that. I am in a I'm an extremely busy guy during the week, and I'm now trying to find a way. Like I said, this is spur of the moment. I just literally started this at 11:30, and I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I was just thinking this past week that holy crap, man, I do so many other things. Why am I just drawing cars for people? Why am I not teaching people the value of drawing in general and what it does for your mindset? And I think that's going to be the underlying theme of this channel is even though most of the people who are following me really enjoy cars, which is I'm going to probably do still a lot more of that. But, as a growth factor for me, trying to mentor people on YouTube and to give them a certain kind of advice as far as the values of drawing, it's really important to me. It really is, because I think what it's done for me has been tremendous. Because when you start to get into that mindset of being creative that way, You can use that. It doesn't really matter what your profession is. I think people get fooled into thinking that, as a child, drawing is only for kids. It's something that you do as a kid. And that's simply not the case at all. You should make this just like exercise is a habit for some of you people who go out there to do it. That's what drawing is. It's not about the drawing, and it's not about the subjects that you are drawing, but it's the takeaway, it's the byproduct that you're getting from that is what's important, which is expanding your mind, getting you to create, to think more creatively, and then how do you use that creativity and apply it into other areas, like you see, here, whether it's, and this is just, this is, okay, this is a tangible, output. But then when I'm working on a problem at work, I'm not going to draw a joker, but what it's doing is that as I expand my skills and learn about other things, I'm essentially stretching my mind, and I'm able to think of things differently. I'm much more open-minded. That's the secret. And you don't, by the way, this is all relative, okay? It's not like I'm some genius or anything. Uh, you can just start off drawing stick figures and then start to flesh those things out. Even that is enough. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be a professional. So, okay, the live stream did not stop, which is great, because it takes me so long to do every one of these things. I screw this live stream up all the time. So anyway, ask me some questions, because I'll probably hang out for another 10 minutes here. So let me know, what are the things that you're interested in, and what do you guys like to draw? We got Paul online. We got 13. We got 13 people here. So Benedict, Buddy. You got Paul, Washington, keeping it sideways. If you're still there, let's hear some comments here, or at least when the feed is over. If you're too shy, comment below. Let's see. I'm just looking through the feed here and looking at some of the questions. Aditya, love the Ford GT. Its torque is amazing. Please show me how to draw Ford GT. Well, you know what? I've got a Ford GT, Aditya. It's actually on my channel. I do have a sketch out there. You got to go through the channel and you'll be able to see it. Let me see what else. Oh, okay. From my 1 point perspectives. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know what? I got to do more of those. So, what are your struggles, by the way? Tell me what your struggles are. Keeping it sideways. Do I have a favorite car? That's a tough one, to be honest. Let's see. I do like the Corvette. I've drawn that now quite a few times. You know what? I like a lot of the classic ones. I when I think about some of the cars that I've done, well, I like the Porsche. I love drawing the Porsche. I've got a huge Porsche painting that I did of the GT3. That's one of my favorites for sure, the GT3. But I really like classics, because there's a lot of character in the classic cars from the 50s and 60s, and especially the racing era of the 60s. So I'm trying to think. I've got a couple paintings that I did of tunnel approach. I should maybe show that sometime. And that was a real pain in the ass to do because it was this fisheye view of the driver inside the vehicle chasing after the leader of the pack, and he was approaching the tunnel. And this was a shot that it was. I really struggled, and I wasn't fast either. So when I was painting that and I kept redoing stuff and correcting it, it took me forever. Just I look at that. You know, you have these memories stuck in your head too when you're doing some of these things. So that's it. Yeah. So answer your question. By the way, what else do you want me to? What would you like me to discuss on the next stream? Actually, tell me what some of your struggles are. You know, what do you guys have trouble with? And if it's not just cars that you want to see, tell me what are the other things you're interested in. What do you like to draw? Like to draw teacups and coffee mugs. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm looking for stuff to do too. I'm looking for some ideas. Let me see. I'm looking through some of these comments here. Scale is a real pain. You're having some struggles with scale. You know what? Tell me what it is that you're having a problem with in scale. I think most of the people have a problem with perspective, is what it sounds like. What I've, a lot of the things that I've heard from before um, is uh, is perspective. And yes, scale is also an important factor. If you're talking about cars, by the way, you're probably thinking proportion and stuff. Urban sketching is Paul's comment there. Yeah, so I mean, all right, we've got perspective is something to struggle. Yep, front view. Yeah, just to kind of address, Paul, urban sketching. Yeah, I love it. In fact, there's an organization for that where people just go out and sketch outside. They just, they live in just beautiful areas, beautiful places, and they just love to sketch. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Let me know. Hey, by the way, let me know if you want me to do that. Is there a time you would love me to just kind of pick up all my crap and all my art supplies? I don't mean crap, but pick up my gear and go out there and just start sketching live. Would you like that? Let me know. Dragon? Yeah, dragon's a good idea. Sure. You guys have some good ideas. I want you guys to come back to the comments section, by the way, and write all that stuff down. Dragons are good. Symmetry. Got that. So Dart's having problems with cylinder. Yeah, you won't get a cylinder that you're probably thinking about the degrees of ellipse, Siddharth. That's, when you start to rotate your cylinder, then the degrees starts to change. So yeah, so there's techniques. There's techniques for that stuff. Let's see if I have any other sketches here. Keep it coming. Keep it coming, guys. A few more minutes. Oh yeah, I was mentioning about practicing. Here it is. This is one right here. So again, vintage sketching. Love this stuff. This is on marker paper, by the way. Another exercise. It's more about length. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep scrolling here. Kim June. All right. Front view. We got issues with the front view of drawing cars. Okay. All right. Divyanshu Singh said, "How do I work on perspective?" So yeah, so perspective. Okay, so this is a good question. How do you work on perspective? So when you're working on perspective, it, I, I would go look at. There's a video out there that I've created called "Getting Started with Digital Sketching Using Krita for Sketching." Look at that video, because in that video is one of those little golden nuggets, and you see me drawing a car, or you see me drawing a van, or I don't know, SUV. But all I do is block that into basic shapes in perspective, and I start off with a box. I think I start off with a box. You may have to look at it, but that's really good, because when you are working on perspective, the best thing to probably start off doing is to not get too complicated at the beginning, because all your cars are going to, you kind of have to kind of go back and forth. I won't say that it's realistic to expect people to just draw boxes for, you know, 3 months or something. That would suck big time. I mean, not, but what you can do with those boxes is learn how to carve those boxes and start to carve a shape out of them. That has some value to it. All right, what else? We got some people dropping off, man. We got 10 people here. I need to do these streams. You're right. I got to do these streams more often. I don't know if Wednesday works. Thursday always seems like a better day. Thursday. All right, no more questions? Any more questions? Always draw ellipses fast. Okay, I'm trying to see any other questions. Okay, Siddharth, this is an interesting question here. I used to think that we've got CAD. Why even bother drawing things on paper, coming from an engineering background? So I'm just reading some of your comments here. So, uh, when I was going to design school, some of my colleagues used to say the same thing. They didn't think it was necessary to be a proficient sketcher. So there's two sides of the coin for this. I think that if you are a really good modeler and you're able to still visualize and realize something using CAD, then that's one thing. You don't have to be the best sketcher. In fact, I've seen, I would say I've seen people with mediocre sketching ability make fantastic end user products. You don't have to be. But for me, sketching is an art. It's more of a self-discipline, and it's more of something that I want to do. I want to be good at. I feel good about doing it. I enjoy the process of learning it. And like I was saying before, you don't have to be a pro at it at all. But uh, just learning to ideate and sketch and getting better at it, that'll automatically feed and fuel your passion to get better at it. When it comes to product design and you're doing something for work, it's different, because the output is a product. But it does help if you know how to visualize things and sketch things out on your own before you start to model things in CAD. That's also important. You can't just, CAD is a process, and CAD is also an art in itself. And you have to know the art of setting up your models and having the right parametric features that you can update and make sure that the model in itself is an efficiently built model that you can change. So those are the things you're going to learn. So instead of setting all that stuff up, drawing a quick sketch on a piece of paper is always more value add for you. I like that. It's a good suggestion, Mr. Paul. I like that a lot. I will. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Twitch. But I thought that Twitch was used a lot for gamers. But I have heard, I know that a friend of mine, Dwayne Vance, he uses Twitch TV a lot. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And by the way, I am really embarking on some bigger projects here. Whether it's and part of it's going to be on YouTube, or just sharing some of the things I'm doing on YouTube. But I'd like to know your thoughts on having, learning different kinds of. Yeah, Dwayne Vance is great. Yeah, uh, I'd like to learn your thoughts about learning online. Do you guys think that you can learn things and take courses online? Do you feel that you get better? I think some of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes it's hard. I think if you've got the self discipline, it's good. But sometimes people just don't know. It's nice you watch the stuff and you get excited, but then as long as if you don't have a sort of a curriculum like school, it's tough to kind of execute and know what you got to do. But anyway, I'm working on some cool things. I think, I really enjoyed Control Paint. Matt Corey does such a fantastic job of teaching, and especially in the digital painting field. And I love it. So I'm thinking of also, helping with using maybe free software. I think that Krita, if you can do stuff like this on free software instead of using Photoshop, I think it's awesome. You just got to find the right tools and the brushes. And it's really sweet, good stuff. All right, one more question, and then I'm going ahead. It's already 20 after 12. I thought a half hour, but you guys got me excited. I'm thinking of having another buddy of mine, by the way, on. He's really an awesome artist, designer actually. He's working in the automotive field, and he is now taking his passion for sketching. He does character design, and I tell you what, oh yeah, John Blow. If you ever seen one of the interview that I did with John, this is quite some time ago, maybe about a year ago. He's really fantastic. He does. I've never seen a guy that can do inking and just professional character like design, and it's not even his field. It's not even his profession. And he created this awesome comic book that I was just completely amazed. So if you would like to hear that, you should go to Driven to Draw and check that out. And check out check out the podcast. You can listen to that podcast, and in that you can see samples of his work and samples of the comic book. Just so badass. Makes me so jealous. John Blow. It's Bleau. So just go to my website. If you type in, let me see, go to driventodraw.com. At driventodraw.com and go to the podcast section. And then I think under the search, if you just type in John Blow, you will see, it should pop up. Yep, it'll pop up. It's called, it's the episode number 5, Broadening Your Creative Outlet with John Blow. and I very very envious of his skill. It is a great interview, by the way. You will learn a crap load. All my, all the talking that I do, I try to, hopefully give you enough substance. Not a bunch of BS, just real stuff. I can't stand BS. So if I can't stand it, chances are a lot of people can't stand it too. You gotta keep it real. Just because you're watching something on YouTube or a lot of other things doesn't mean it's true. So you gotta be very careful. So at least for me, giving back and working in the industry so long, that having people that can mentor and guide people is it's important. It's another skill. So what else? I'm getting ready to go. One more question. All right. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Squeeze a question in there. Oh, keeping it side, when did I first start sketching cars? I just missed that question. So, when did I first start? Oh, I'm afraid to tell you because it'll expose me as being very, very old. But I'm very young at heart. And so, uh, when I first started sketching, it wasn't even, let me think, it was probably around 2000. Yeah, that's a long time ago. 2002, 3, maybe. So, yeah, long time ago. By the way, I did both. I've got a design degree and engineering degree. So, I don't want you engineers to try to fool me, all right? His name is um oh, I'll just type it here. Or I'll give you the link. Let me put the link here. That's easier if I just do that. Of course, I would have shut that thing down. Give me a moment here as I'm trying to get the link. Oh, also, you should check out the interview that I did with Proco. And we were talking, that's again, talking about a lot of things. We really had a terrific conversation about being a jack of all trades. All right, there's the link. How do you balance your portfolio? Well, I guess it really depends on which area you want to go into, right? So you should have a good variety in your portfolio, right? You have to really start asking questions of yourself. What is your goal? Where do you want to work? If you want to work in a product design company, then you don't show as much transportation stuff. But if you are in transportation, then you're gonna weight your portfolio to transportation related content. If you're looking for a toy company, then you try to look at toy design. Shoes, you got to have shoes. And the other thing that's really good is that one thing that is really important for all you designers out there is that you need to really exercise a lot of critical thinking, which is You don't try to just make things look good or aesthetically pleasing. You have to remember that product design is, or any kind of design is, trying to solve a problem. If you can demonstrate that your solution solves an existing problem efficiently, or maybe just better than things that are already out there, that's good design. Maybe, whatever it is that you're designing creates a certain amount of efficiency for someone to get their job done faster by 15-20% over another design. But that takes a lot of understanding what the competitor is doing and what their shortcomings are, and listening to people, what they want, what they're trying to do, what are their pain points. Design is about solving problems. Engineering is about solving problems. All right, we're gonna wrap up. What is Divyanshu Singh? What's your question? Oh, I'm sorry. He's got Adar. Okay, so hey, Adar, make sure you answer this guy's question. You should help your fellow comrades. These guys are in the business of needing help, and some of you guys that have already going through that process should help out these younger folks. You don't need me for that. I'm here to have some fun. Okay, I'm gonna sign off. Okay, so it's 12:30. It's definitely time for me to hit the sack, and I got plenty of stuff to worry about. Oh, okay, real quick. Keep it. Yes. All right. It is very difficult to get a job as an automotive designer. Absolutely. In fact, people write to me. You know what? This is really good. People write. You know what? Save this question. I will answer this in another live stream. I'll save some good stuff for next time. And by the way, after I sign off and this video is posted, please comment below and provide me some comments of what you'd like me to draw on the next stream, or what you are struggling with. If you're struggling with some 1-point perspective, let me know. I'll do it quick. I may not be able to get into a tremendous amount of detail, because some drawings take a long time to do. So I want to be able to draw and converse with you and interact. So we'll definitely do that on the next live stream. Maybe I can do it. Let me know also what day works good for you guys too. Greetings from Russia. Okay, guys. All right. Thank you very much. Once again, like I said, go ahead and put your comments below. And I do have an Instagram account. So if you want to look up Driven to Draw on Instagram, I will be posting more drawings, and I'll see if I can share some tips and maybe do some quick videos and post it on there too. And if you guys are on Twitch, I'll check out Twitch. But until then, we'll see you next time on Driven to Draw. Have a good night, guys.